I do want to circle back. So you mentioned churches responding to accusations appropriately. I do want to cover this because this comes up time and time again, and I'm sure you've been hit with this response time and time again, is that a lot of churches excuse not responding properly to accusations because they like to accuse accusations of being made improperly or crimes being addressed or keeping people attacking the church the wrong way or not going to this person first. So look, when something like this happens, it gets messy, and a lot of churches will say, you didn't follow Matthew 18, 1 Timothy 5 when it came to addressing this. But you mentioned in the book, and I'd like for you to expound on this, that sometimes these situations don't make sense in light of those verses. Sometimes those verses are not the best place to point people to say, here's how this needs to be addressed. So how would you respond to churches that say, hey, people that are coming and blasting this on social media or going to the news or going about it the wrong way?
Well, I was having a conversation like this 15 years ago. And I was talking to a woman who, in a situation like this arose. And I said, how do you think about this? And she looked at me and she said, Scott, follow the money. And I went, money? What does this have to do with it? And then she said, she says, this is a standard statement in the business world. But she said, money and power go together. And she said, ask the question, who is being helped by this conversation? This is my extrapolation. Who's going to benefit if we use Matthew 18? The church. The church has to be seen then as a group that's protecting itself rather than seeking the truth. A Christian response immediately looks for the victim and finds the wounded person and says, that's where we're going to shower our grace first. And that's what I would say is, to me, the misuse of Bible verses. For instance, I'll never forget Laura, I think it was Laura, said to me, they're now appealing to 1 Timothy that you can't accuse an elder if you don't have 2 or 3 witnesses. And I said, this is ridiculous. How many men sexually abuse a woman in public so that there are other witnesses? I mean, it's almost never, right? The other side of this is the oddest irony of it was, I mean, it's the hypocrisy, a lack of insight, however you want to describe it, is we had at that time 4 or 5 women who were all telling a similar story. Is that not 2 or 3 witnesses? All right. So the use of that verse was done exclusively to silence the women. Who gained by the use of that verse? When I said, no, let's look at Deuteronomy 22. I put this on my blog. I know that the people from Willow who care about the Bible saw that and went, ooh, that's not helping us at all. So their response was probably, for some of them I know it was, that's in the Old Testament. We're not under the Old Testament. And someone said that to me and I said, well, when you quoted 2 or 3 witnesses, you were quoting from Deuteronomy. So let's stop with this Old Testament stuff. But I want to ask the question, who benefits from that Bible verse the most? If it's the church, I've got suspicions. It is not divisive to critique sin. It is the calling of prophets to point things out. Now, I don't call myself a prophet ever. And I've had many people say that the blog post was prophetic. Thank you very much. I'm not going to claim that, but I do think it spoke potently into situations where it needed to be spoken.